Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. So if you saw my first part from a few days ago, I did the top 5 Republican governor's races that Republicans are targeting to try and flip in the 2026 midterm elections. This video is going to be focusing on the 5 Republican governor's races that Democrats are going to be targeting and trying to flip in 2026. Kind of like at the end of the Republican video where I mentioned as we got closer to 5, things looked like a lot less likely to be flipping for the Republicans going from Democrat to Republican. We may see something similar in this video, but I do think there are still a few potential targets for the Democrats to look for in 2026. So first things first, jumping right into the video, the first Republican governor's seat right now that I think is held by a Republican the Democrats are going to contest is the state of Georgia. Georgia, obviously a very, very close state at the presidential race. We just saw Donald Trump win the state by 2%. I think Georgia is going to be probably the most hotly contested race the Democrats are targeting in 2026. Right now, in Georgia, the governor of the state is Brian Kemp. He is term limited by Georgia's constitution and cannot seek re-election to a third consecutive term. And of the declared candidates on the Republican side right now running to succeed Brian Kemp, there is Chris Carr, the Georgia Attorney General. He is the leading candidate right now. Publicly expressed interest candidates is Burt Jones, the Lieutenant Governor of Georgia. He's expected to make a decision as well after the 2025 legislative session. Potential candidate, there is Brad Raffensperger, Georgia's Secretary of State. I believe Secretary of State was the same position that Brian Kemp held before he ran for governor and won the primary back in 2018, so he's a potential candidate as well. On the Democratic side of things, there are some actually well-recognized names. There is, the declared candidate is Aljumi Brown, a church founder, but publicly expressed interest. There's Stacey Abrams. Of course, she was the Democratic nominee for governor in 2018 and 2022. There's Keisha Lance Bottoms, the former director of the Office of Public Engagement and former mayor of Atlanta between 2018 and 2022. There's Jason Carter, who I believe ran for governor back in 2014, and is obviously the grandson of former President Jimmy Carter and Governor of Georgia, Jimmy Carter, and Lucy McBath, a U.S. representative from Georgia's 6th Congressional District. Another potential candidate is Michael Thurmond, DeKalb County CEO. So there's actually like 4 pretty strong Democratic candidates that could run for the governor's race. On the Republican side of things, really only see like 3 or 4 total, or 3 total that would run on the Republican side of things. So the primaries could be contentious on both sides, but this is certainly going to be a very, very close race. Right now, 270 to win has this listed as a lean Republican. Cook Political Report has it as toss-up. On the hypothetical polling, one's really only for the Democratic primary, and there's nothing really to get from that other than Stacey Abrams had a lead, but that was also about 2 years ago. So it's interesting. Georgia, I think, is going to be very, very close, and if the Democrats have a very good night, let's say the economy is doing bad or the President Trump's administration is not doing too well in 2026, turns into a very strong Democratic wave, could Georgia flip to the Democrats and have a Democratic governor in the state of Georgia? Especially because Brian Kemp will not be on the top of the ticket, I think it is certainly very, very possible. So Georgia is the first Republican target that I think could flip to the Democratic side in 2026. The second most likely target for the Democrats in 2026, I believe, is the state of Nevada. Nevada is a state that we just saw at the presidential race voted for Donald Trump by 4 points over Kamala Harris, 51% to 47%. Before that, though, it did not vote for a Republican at the presidential level since 2004. The tough part for Democrats since 2004, the tough part for Democrats is going to be they're going to have to face up against the incumbent governor of the state, Joe Lombardo. He was just elected back in 2022 in a very close race, but obviously he can run for a second term. There's not a term limit stopping him from running. So if the Democrats want to defeat him, they'll have to take down an incumbent governor, which it is worth noting is how Joe Lombardo did get elected governor in 2022. He defeated Democratic incumbent governor Steve Sisolak. So it's not like saying there hasn't been precedent in Nevada of an incumbent governor losing. It's literally happened just 4 years ago. So that will be able to happen if the Democrats do have to take him down, there is precedent for that situation occurring. Obviously declared, Joe Lombardo, incumbent governor of Nevada, running again. On the Democratic side, the only publicly expressed interest candidate is the Attorney General of Nevada, Aaron Ford. And right now, 270 to win has this listed as a lean Republican. The Cook Political Report has it as a toss-up. In terms of the only hypothetical polling done, there's only been one poll from back in 2023, and the governor held almost a 21-point lead over the Democrat, but that's nothing really to look at now. So I think, again, Nevada, I would say right now starts out as a narrow favorite for the Republicans. But again, in a top 5 governor's races the Democrats are targeting, you have to put Nevada at number 2, as I think this presents probably either the best or second best pickup opportunity for the Democrats in 2026. And again, this is just 5 governor's races I think that the parties will contest. This isn't necessarily my prediction for how I think they'll go right now. I'm just saying 5 the Democrats to target. Nevada would be number 2, maybe number 1, depending on Georgia. So those are 2 governor's races I have the Democrats targeting. Now, Georgia and Nevada. This is where things get tough, is Nevada and Georgia are the only real battleground states of the 2024 election that were really close. So now we start looking at a little bit into murkier territory. So number 3, we have the state of New Hampshire. New Hampshire is interesting because they just elected for the first time Republican governor of the state, Kelly Ayotte. And even though Kamala Harris did just win the state, there's actually not a Wikipedia page for it yet. So that's interesting. Because New Hampshire elects its governors every 2 years, not every 4. So it's still very, very recent. New Hampshire did just elect Kamala Harris, or vote for Kamala Harris, 51% to 48% over Donald Trump, 3 points. On the governor's side of things, I'll pull it up. I know I have the tab open. Kelly Ayotte just won her race against her Democratic opponent by 10 points, 54% to 44%, a likely Republican win. So for 2026, it's going to be very, very tough for the Democrats to try and defeat Ayotte after she'll have 2 years and will be an incumbent this time around. We saw once Chris Sununu won for the first time in a close race in New Hampshire, he pretty much won every single time by a likely Republican margin or a safe Republican margin. New Hampshire is an interesting state where it doesn't seem to vote for Republicans at the top of the presidential ticket or even the Senate races, but at the governor's race, it elects Republicans all the time. New Hampshire is going to be very, very tough for Democrats to win in 2026, but I do think given the map and the races that are up, New Hampshire is the 3rd best target for the Democrats in 2026. And again, I'm not saying these races are actually going to the Democrats. I'm just marking them as light blue as the ones that I think the Democrats have the best shot at targeting. So New Hampshire, I'd put at number 3. Again, not expecting it to go blue, but that's probably one of the Democrats' top targets of a top 5. Number 4, I have the state of Ohio. Ohio is interesting because this is going to be an open race. Let me go back up to the top of the page here. Ohio is going to be an open race due to the fact that Governor Mike DeWine is term limited, and the Republicans have a bunch of candidates running, including the Attorney General of Ohio, Dave Yost, and Vivek Ramaswamy, and publicly expressed interest, Frank LaRose, the Ohio Secretary of State. So there are a lot of potential Republican candidates in Ohio. It's a state that's becoming more and more of a likely to safe Republican state, almost it seems every single election. But on the Democratic side, it's really all depends on if Sherrod Brown runs for this race or not. I think the Democrats' best chance in Ohio would probably be having Sherrod Brown run for this race. And even then, I still don't think the Democrats could win it. But I think the best scenario for them would be Sherrod Brown running for this seat. Tim Ryan may decide to run for this race if Brown runs for the Senate race. And then things are probably the best 2 candidates are Brown and Ryan in the state of Ohio for Democrats. But even that is an uphill battle. 270 to win has it as likely Republican, as does Cook Political Report, and I would completely agree with that. I don't think Ohio's going to be much in play. But again, given the map of the U.S. and all the governor's races, the Democrats really don't have another prime pickup opportunity. I think Georgia and Nevada are really the only pickup opportunities. I don't even think New Hampshire is really a pickup opportunity that much in 2026, but it certainly is more of a pickup opportunity than Ohio. But I think Ohio would probably be number 4 on the list. And then for number 5, there's a few options I'm looking at. There's I mean, there's a one obvious one, but it's very contingent on if the governor runs again, and that's the state of Vermont. Vermont, this is the governor, Republican Phil Scott. He's a very, I'd say, moderate to liberal-ish Republican, and he also, like New Hampshire, is elected every 2 years. He's eligible to run for a sixth 2-year term, but it's not yet stated if he will do so. It's pretty simple on this one. If Scott runs for re-election, it's going to be a safe Republican win. There's not really anything the Democrats can do about that. If Scott does not run, then I think this very quickly becomes a safe Democratic governor seat. And there's not really anything the Republicans can do about that either. So that's a big contingent on if the Republican governor runs. So I just want to say my piece on that. But giving off the assumption, let's say he does run, another governor's race that I think could actually be more competitive, I'm on the fence between two of them. And it really is candidate dependent. Honorable mention is the state of Alaska. This is all really contingent on if Mary Peltola, the former congresswoman, decides to run for the governor's race. If she does decide to run, maybe she can capture some of the momentum which helped her win back in, was it 2020 or 2022 for the first time. And I think that race would maybe be able to go down to likely Republican or lean Republican. I don't think she'd win, but I could see it being one of the Democrats' top targets. If not, and this is where things get really difficult because this map is tough for the Democrats, I think the next target could honestly be the state of Texas. And it's very interesting because Texas just swung a lot to the Republican side in 2024. Donald Trump won the state by 14 points. And I do believe Greg Abbott is up for re-election, and I do believe he is eligible to run for a third term or a fourth term because Texas does not have term limits. Yes, he does. He is the fifth longest serving governor in United States history, and he has declared for another 4-year term. So the Democrats really are in a tough spot here. 270 win has it as likely Republican. Cook Political Report has it as solid Republican. There are two potential Democrats, but no one really notable. If actor Matthew McConaughey ran, that'd probably be honestly the Democrats' best shot at flipping the seat. So that kind of gives you an idea of how rough the governor's map is for the Democrats in 2026, because outside of Ohio and Nevada and maybe New Hampshire, there's really not another governor pickup opportunity that I could conceivably see. The Republican map, I had about 4 that I thought I could conceivably see them winning. Democrats, really, I can only see 2 that I think are actually in play, and that's Georgia and Nevada. Maybe they prove me wrong in New Hampshire, but I really don't see New Hampshire being much up for grabs either. If I were to do my actual predictions on it, I think New Hampshire stays red, as does Ohio, and as does Texas. Georgia and Nevada are the only 2 that I think are really in contention right now. But those are 5 governor's races I think the Democrats are going to contest in 2026. I'm very interested to hear what you have to think about this video and about these governor's races. Is there one I'm missing? Maybe a Republican governor's race that you think could surprisingly be competitive that I missed in this video? Please leave a comment below telling me your thoughts. That'll do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching and hope to see you in a future video. That will do it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please remember to give it a like. And if you really liked it, please remember to click the subscribe button and make sure you turn post notifications on so you always get notified when I post a new video. That way you never miss one. Also, please remember to share this video with your friends and family if you really like the video. And remember to stay tuned because I'll be posting at least one video every single day leading up until Election Day. So I'd really appreciate it if you keep coming back and watching those videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in a future video.